Hey everybody, this is producer Jeremy. We will be starting very soon. Can you guys please keep the chat to on subject? Podcast talk only. We'll be starting very soon. Thanks.
Hello and welcome. I'm Exelite, and this is my podcast. Today I have with me my guest host, Jory.
Hello, everyone.
Our topic today is the dark side of Disney. And can I ask you, if you haven't already, could you please go over there and click that thumbs up? That's how my channel gets promoted. So that would be a huge help. All right, so let's start off with this. We're going to have the dark side of Disney today. Next week, we're going to have famous horror movie killers. Rob and I are going to talk about that. And starting on October 1st, we are going to do the 31 days of Halloween. If Christmas can have 12, Halloween can have 31. So I'm going to have content up every single day. And I'm going to have a guest host podcast. So we'll have 2 podcasts in 1 week, in a couple of weeks from now. And I think you guys are going to like the content we're putting up. It's very exciting. So please feel free to join us. And if you haven't already, go ahead and click that bell so you can be notified when my content goes up. And I have put some merchandise in the store. And I'm going to finish a couple more items, and we're going to have a link to that next week. So that'll be fun. All right. Jory, anything you want to say?
I'm sorry. Kendra kind of sideswiped me for a second. Did you talk about how Diabolical Witness and I will be ghost hunting next week?
No, I'm going to have you do that.
Okay. Well, next Friday, Brian will be out here investigating the Casa Grande domes, which if you weren't a part of the podcast, what was it now, 2 weeks ago?
Wait, that was recorded. That hasn't come up yet.
No. The Casa Grande podcast.
Oh, yeah, that was 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so if you weren't a part of it, go back, listen to it. Brian will be down here investigating next Friday. Him and I are still talking through email. I'm going to assume that there'll probably be some video. And it sounds like we might even be checking in from time to time while you're doing next week's podcast with Rob.
I'm so excited. That'll be a lot of fun.
So stay tuned for that.
Okay, so should we does anybody have any questions about the dark side of Disney before we start? Anybody need to know or ask anything right now? Okay.
When I was doing the research for this, what's that, Mom?
Nothing.
Oh, okay. When I would research like dark side of Disney or dark folklore Disney, a lot of it just came up as like corporate greed topics. So just so everybody is aware, that's not the direction that we're going when we talk about the dark side of Disney. I'm sure there's probably a lot of dark corporate greed stories that we can get into, but this is purely just I'm going to assume, Mom, kind of a paranormal nature, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can get into the dark side of Disney's work ethics some other day. Actually, probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. I'm sure there's a podcast out there, though, that will do that for you.
I'm sure there's plenty of podcasts that will tell you to boycott Disney.
Also, I need to welcome my latest patron on Patreon, and that is Victor Lyons. So thank you, Victor, for donating to Patreon. I appreciate it so much. Those proceeds are going to go to the making of the merchandise, and I'm excited about that. He says, so was the merchandise you were talking about the ones, the top tiers? Yes, Victor, yes. So yes, when those shirts so the top tier, when you're on the top tier, you will get a free shirt. So you'll be able to go to the store and pick one out. Let me know. And the shipping is free within the United States, but when out of this country, we're going to have to talk about shipping. Shouldn't be too much to ship a shirt to where Victor lives, I would not think. So then I'll send you one. Okay? All right. So if anybody else is interested in supporting us through Patreon, moderator Maya, we'll put a link down there. All right. Jory, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so where should we start? Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
It's your podcast, Mom. You go right on.
Okay, I think I will. Okay, so in 1984, there was a woman whose name was Regina Young. Her nickname was Dolly. Dolly was riding on the Matterhorn when she came down, and they were going around a curve, and she fell out. She didn't have her seatbelt buckled. Nobody knows why. She fell out, and she was ran over by the car behind her. Sometimes cast members say that they have seen her watching them working over there by the Matterhorn. And they even have a special place on the track that's called Dolly's Dip, and it is where she died. I think Jeremy's putting a picture up there. So if you guys ride that ride and you go through Dolly's Dip and you feel a little something extra, maybe Dolly's getting in there with you. You know, I want to say this before we go on. These are real people who died we're going to talk about with real families. So I'm not going to be making fun of the way they died or anything like that. Just talking about the fact that they're said to be haunting the property. Right, Jor?
Correct.
All right. Do you want to know why the light is always left on in the apartment building that was Walt Disney's apartment? Does everybody know that Walt Disney had an apartment in Disneyland, and there's a light left on in the window every night. It's right when you walk in, right before you go down Main Street. Do you know why it's left on, Jory?
Do you want me to ask, no, Mom, please tell me, or do you want me to actually answer it?
Do you know why?
No, Mom, please tell me.
Okay, I will.
I
According
know
to
why,
legend.
but I will
You
allow
do?
you to tell the story. Yeah, I know why.
You know, as many times as I've been to Disneyland, I've never even noticed his apartment up there, nor a light in the window.
I look at
I
it
don't
every
look
time
up
we
that.
go.
You do?
Yeah. Well,
I don't look up there.
I should let the listeners of this podcast know that I am in a family on both sides, both on my side and my wife's side, that are Disney fanatics.
Yeah.
And so, being that I've been to Disneyland more times than any human being should, you get to a point where you start learning little things about Disneyland that might not seem that important to a normal person, but to me, it's awesome. And so, one of the first little things that you learn about as a Disney fanatic is why there's always a light in that window at the fire station on Main Street, which it used to be Walt Disney's apartment when he was building the property in the 1950s.
Do you know that I've only been into the fire station one time? I've only been into guest services one time, and I think it had to do something with a birthday, because I think I got a button or something.
Yeah, I went to the fire station and used the restroom once. That's
about it. Yeah, I think that's what I did. Nobody needs to know that. They don't care.
Well, those kind of places are kind of more of a picture-taking area where the cast members come out, and you can take pictures with whoever they have on Main Street at the time. It'll probably be like Mickey or Donald or Goofy. So those are more like photographic locations more than any. Like they'll give you like the history of the park, give you the history of Walt Disney, but they're not really like. Main Street is more of a shop and look and picture taking part before you get to the rest of the area, which is where all the rides are.
Well, yeah, that's my personal opinion. It's the best part. They also have the ice cream shop and the candy store and the restaurant where we always have breakfast. Anyway.
Magic Store was also where Steve Martin worked before he became famous.
He did?
Yeah, he worked at that magic shop on Main Street for several years before he...
You're kidding me.
Went on to Hollywood.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me tell you. Back to the light. Here it is. You ready?
Back to the light.
According to legend, the light wasn't always on in Disneyland, in Walt's apartment. It is said that one day a cast member looking after the apartment tried to turn the light off before leaving. However, when she came back later, the light had been turned on again. According to some versions, she left the building. She noticed the light was on upstairs. She went back on to turn it off, then went back downstairs. It was on again, and she unplugged the lamp. When she went back downstairs, guess what, guys? The light was on. So it became Disneyland policy to always leave the light on in the window. You know, Walt Disney was a strange guy, for the record.
Just to add to that story, at the time of construction of Disneyland, everybody knew Walt Disney was on property by the light in the window being on. At the time, it was a candlelight.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so if it wasn't on, that meant Walt Disney was not on property.
Oh, really?
That cast member that you just talked about, she had actually also heard a disembodied voice that said something along the lines of "leave it on."
Yeah.
As she was turning the light off. So it was after that incident where, like you said, it became park policy that light had to be on at all times. In honor of Walt Disney.
Well, I'm just going to say that if somebody's reaching out from the grave to tell me to leave the light on, I'm going to leave that light on.
It's the least you could do, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Come on. Go ahead and tell us about something else haunting Disney.
Okie dokie. There's a lot here, so just give me 1 second. I'm trying not to take any of yours.
Thank you. You've sapped me
Okay.
out of everything.
So we're going to take a trip over to Space Mountain.
Okay, let's go.
Guests and cast members have reported seeing Disco Debbie. Debbie is a glowing green ghost inside the ride, who is reported to be a cast member who died of an aneurysm behind the Space Mountain building. Also, people have reported seeing a man with reddish hair and a red face. He usually gets into a seat next to a single rider. By the time the ride ends, the man has disappeared. Supposedly, this is the ghost of a man who died on the ride in the 1970s. They call him Mr. One Way, and he is also sometimes seen in the cast member locker rooms in the Space Mountain building. Ooh. You know what's funny is the last time I went to Disneyland, it was about 2 years ago. Every time I rode Space Mountain, the only thing I could think of would be, I wonder if I could see Mr. One Way.
Really?
I always go with a group of people, so I'm never a single rider, so I'll probably never be in a situation where I'm a single rider in Space Mountain. But I would be looking at the seats to see if, maybe there's an ethereal figure. Obviously, I've never encountered it, but it's something that's always on the back of my mind every time I ride Space Mountain is, ooh, I wonder if today's the day I get to see Mr. One Way.
I always hated Space Mountain because it's so dark that I was afraid I'd get my head cut off. Like, you wouldn't see it coming. Like, first off, because you wouldn't see it coming, you probably wouldn't know. I'm just saying. It's not going to just give you a headache and a bruise. You're going to know it. Your head's going to fly back and probably kill the person behind you, too.
Probably. At
But
that velocity.
I was always like, you know how in roller coasters people raise their hands and everything? It always terrified me because you can't see it.
Yeah.
And I don't find that enjoyable. I don't find moving exceptionally fast through somewhere I can't see. It's not my favorite. I like my head right where it is.
I will say that it took me a while to be brave enough to lift my hands up in that ride. For me to finally realize my hands aren't going to be decapitated if I do this.
Yes, of course they're not, right? I mean, they're not stupid. But just in case, because you can't see.
Yeah. Yep.
Then I would be haunting Disney, which would be okay.
Oh, I would have to say, if there was one place I could haunt for the rest of my eternity, it would be Disneyland.
If I ever die in Disney, I'm going to hang out in Peter Pan. That's where you're going to find me.
I'm going to hang out everywhere. I'm not going to. These ghosts that just haunt Space Mountain, I'm like, what are you doing? You have a whole park. Go have fun.
Speaking about people dying in Disneyland, do you know that people take their family members' ashes and spread them in Disneyland?
No.
Disneyland says that never happens. Of course they do. But the people who have, I know, it's so weird. Like, why not just say no comment? But former employees have said that they have had to go into the Haunted Mansion, which is a favorite place for people to leave their family members' ashes. And let me tell you something. If you request that your family members take your ashes to Disneyland and leave them in the Haunted Mansion, you're going to end up in a trash can because they go and they vacuum them up. Is that on the job description? No. When you go in when you apply and you go in for your interview, do they ask you if you're okay with vacuuming up ashes of dead bodies? No, but you're gonna. And then they just throw it out with the trash. So you never actually were scattered in Disneyland. I mean, you were, but then you went out with the trash. So think of a better idea or a better place. Like, I don't even know. Pirates of the Caribbean. But the water's so, when they turn the lights on, the water's so clear. Before we go on, can we tell them our scary adventure in Pirates of the Caribbean that we had?
I've had numerous, but I know which one you're talking about.
Okay, so it was late. As a matter of fact, it was the last run of the Pirates of the Caribbean. And our whole family was in there. Joshua was, you have the loudest ice. Joshua, what?
Never mind. Keep going.
So Joshua was a baby. Oh yeah, he was not quite
4.
3. No, remember we took him 3 days before his birthday because he got him for free. Yeah, I did. I saved that couple $100. You bet I did. So we go down, and right where, if you've been before, there is a battle between the pirate ship and the land, and the pirate ship is shooting cannonballs, and it's smoky with some god awful, I don't even know what they use, but I'm sure it causes cancer because it felt like it. And we got stuck down there. We got, what, 2 or 3 of cars down there, carts.
Mm-hmm.
So we're down there, okay? We're down there. We're stuck between the cannonballs. The worst possible place to be stuck in the Pirates of the Caribbean. Cannonballs, smoke, constant loud noise. Yar, she blows. Yar, she blows. So this guy in the cart behind us says, I'm going to call 911. So he calls 911, state your emergency, and he said, we are stuck in the Pirates of the Caribbean, and they hung up on him. So he called back, and he said, we are stuck in the Pirates of the Caribbean. She hung up on him, so he calls him back again, and she said, listen, I'm going to call the police. And he said, okay, great. Please call the police because we are stuck in Pirates of the Caribbean. Like, they shut the ride down and didn't know we were in there. So the police must have called Disney, and we were down there for, I don't even know, 45 minutes, Jory?
Yeah, somewhere between 30 minutes and 45 minutes.
And the park's closing, so nobody misses us, I guess, because we're all together, so who's going to miss us? I mean, so the police must have called Disney and to have Disney check, and sure enough, guess what? We were stuck in the Pirates of the Caribbean. But can you imagine if you were the 911 operator and somebody's calling you, we're stuck in the Pirates of the Caribbean? She didn't want to hear that shit. She was like, stop, or I'm going to call the police on you. And that guy was like, please, I'm begging you to call the police on me, please, before we start having to eat each other. And they finally got us out of there, and then they gave us passes to go in front of the line next time. We were like, no, thank you. But that was our scary adventure in the Pirates of the Caribbean. I've also seen people disappear into the walls, not ghosts, real people. If you try and switch cars in the Pirates of the Caribbean, they pull you into the wall and put you in Disney jail. Which
that actually was scarier to me than being stuck on the ride for 45 minutes. Well, you've heard my story. I'll tell the viewers at home.
Yeah.
You guys were eating bread bowls just above the ride, and I wasn't hungry. And there was no wait for Pirates. I'm like, well, I'm going to go on Pirates by myself. So I go on Pirates of the Caribbean, and it's just me and one other guy. That's it. And we're getting to the point, for people who have ridden the ride, we're getting to the point where we go down the first waterfall where the skeleton head is just above it talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy switches seats. Now, for those who have not been on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, you're on a boat, and there's 5 rows of seats. So for you to change a seat you would have to actually crawl over the front seat or the back seat to get to another seat. So he does this just before we start to get on the waterfall, down the waterfall, and like a voice from God, somebody screams, "Please remain seated." And that scared me because that area is completely dark except for the light that's on the skeleton head. So I was
Right.
just like, "Oh, no problem, sir. I'll stay in my seat," even though I didn't even move. So we go down the first waterfall, and we're approaching the second waterfall, and the ride stops. And these 2 guys, now there was there was never a light that appeared. These 2 guys just came from the darkness, said, "Sir, you're coming with us," pulled him out of the ride, pulled him back into the darkness, and I never saw a light.
Yes.
He just got sucked into the darkness, and then the ride started.
Yes.
And I was back on my merry way. And
That's
I couldn't concentrate on the ride. I couldn't concentrate. I was just like, did that guy get dragged to hell like that movie you and Rob were talking about?
That's the same place where the guy that I saw get grabbed. He was in the boat ahead of ours and was trying to go from one boat to the next. There's like the blackness comes out.
He was trying to go from boat to boat?
He was trying to go from boat to boat.
Oh, idiot.
I know. So the blackness came out and grabbed him. I didn't hear anybody say, "Can you come with us, sir?" They just picked him up and took him back into the blackness.
Yeah.
If that isn't the dark side of Disney, I don't know what is.
And that event scared me so bad that to this day, when I ride Pirates of the Caribbean and I get to that part, I look into the darkness to see if I can still hear his ghostly wails as he's being dragged to hell.
I don't know why people are so stupid. God dang, they're stupid.
There's a history of people being injured and or killed doing the things these people do. Signs everywhere that ask you, please don't do it. And you still do it. I don't know if you think, I'm doing a free disclaimer for Disney right now. I don't care if you think you're cool. Don't do it. Because you're not only ruining the experience for yourself, but you're ruining the experience for other people. Although I do have a really cool story to tell, it's still not necessary to put your life out there just because you think, oh, well, I'm above it. I'm not going to get hurt. No, people have died in Disneyland on accidents where they thought the exact same way you thought.
Yes.
Just play along, have fun, be respectful of everybody else there. There you go, Disney. Yep. Free disclaimer.
Here's another scary experience we had at Disney. Do you remember when we got into It's a Small World and the boat almost tipped over? Remember that was those 2 really big guys behind us? And the boat almost tipped over. Can you imagine? They were like, distribute the weight, distribute the weight.
Oh, everybody moved to the front of the boat.
Yeah, that scared me. I was like, am I going to just swim?
We're not trying to haunt this place, guys. Yeah. Do I need to swim here?
I think I don't want to be on this ride anymore. Okay, so anyway, I'll talk about another haunting. So about the ashes situation. So this woman was supposedly put her boy's ashes in the haunted mansion, and he haunts the haunted mansion and the Pirates of the Caribbean. And I got a picture from what's the website? Did I put it down? Did I give it to you, Jeremy? I think I gave it to you. The website's name, I gave it to you on Facebook. Anyway, you can Google Ghost Boy, I guess. And there's a boy in front of one of the cars in the haunted mansion. There's no flash or anything. Somebody took a picture of the cart in front of them. He claims that there was no child within 20 people in front of him in line. But there's this boy, and he's turned around, and he's looking at him. And Jeremy, is that on? Do you have the picture on? Okay, and if you notice, he's like green. And so that is supposed to be the boy that is in the haunted mansion. I have a really good movie scream. Do I not, Jory?
Mm-hmm.
I have a good movie scream, and every time we go into the haunted mansion, I do the movie scream. And Maya finally asked me once, like, can you not? Because it was scaring her. I'm like,
Or maybe you were just annoying her.
No, she was scared. And I'm like, you're sitting right next to me. I have not been pulled into the darkness. Yet. Anyway, so look for the little boy in both of those rides. He's green. All right. In 1974, there was an 18-year-old girl. Her name was Deborah Stone. She went by Debbie. She worked as a hostess at the America Sings attraction in Disneyland, which is, and I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, in Tomorrowland, there is a big auditorium. Do you know what I'm talking about, Jory? It's right
outside of Space Mountain. Yeah.
Yeah. What is that? I have never been able to get into it. There used to be a thing called Innovations in there, and we tried to get into it to see the innovations. I've never been able to get in.
I've never been in there, but it was supposed to be like a mock-up of inventions that we were supposed to see in the future.
Yeah.
At one point, and then the last time I was there, it was closed because I'm trying to remember this correctly, but I think they were doing something for it involving the Marvel MCU.
Yes, it was. It was supposed to be a mock-up of the police station on Marvel, but I can't find the door. So I could be very stupid. It's quite possible.
I've never even attempted going in that building, to be honest, because as many times as I've been there, and I usually go for about 3 days at a time just seems to escape you.
Yeah.
And you've maybe ridden 3 or 4 rides, had some lunch, done some walking around, and it's already almost park closing, just because there's so much going on, and you just lose yourself in the moment. And I just never found my way into that building. I've been there double-digit times, and there's still things I've never done in Disney.
Well, I've tried to go there, but I can't find the door. But inside was America Sings.
Mm-hmm.
And Debbie worked for there, and she, back then it had what was called the Carousel of Progress. And she ended up being caught between the rotating theater wall and the stationary wall, and her head was crushed. Can you hear that dinging going on? Can you hear that?
I was just going to text you and be like, whoever's texting you needs to slow
Nobody's
down.
texting me. Victor is posting in Discord, and it's making my watch ding, and I don't know how to turn it down.
Oh, okay. Are we in Discord?
No. I just got a new watch, so I don't know how to turn the sound down, so sorry. I don't know what to do about that. Victor, talking to you. Anyway, so she had her head crushed and clearly died as a result of that. And they ended up having to put a safety light in there for, future workers. But, and they replaced the stationary walls with ones that would break away. But the cast members say that they, to this day, hear someone in there whispering to them to be careful if they get too close to the walls.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Well, I have a story to add on to that.
I'd like to hear it, but I can't get in that damn building. There are no doors. I don't know. If you've been in there, let me know.
We'll make a pact now. Next time we go, we'll get into that building.
Promise me this.
We promise.
We'll take pictures right outside, right inside, and we'll be like, we made it. Yeah.
Finally,
Now my
after all
head's
these
crushed.
years, I can
Yeah, we're gonna
finally
hear
die.
we're gonna hear be careful, and we're like, we're done.
We only wanted to come in here and see the building. We don't even care about the ghost. So to add on to that, the America Sings building is also said to be haunted by the ghost of a teenage boy who died in the speed tunnel section of the People Mover, which is on the outer edge of the building. The boy died while trying to, and we've talked about this, audience, so pay attention, while trying to jump from one car to another and was dragged along the track before the ride came to a stop.
Yeah. And 1 year later or 2 years later, another boy, same age, same spot, did the same thing, got dragged along the track.
Yeah.
People, why? Just don't. Sorry. Just don't.
Yeah.
There's a story of the monorail ghost. Do you know that I've only ridden the monorail one time? Oh, could everybody hear you say that, Jeremy? Jeremy said that's why it's called the monorail.
I thought it was called the monorail because that's where you got mono.
Well, if you're licking the handles, I guess.
Only time I can remember riding it was Jay and I went on it by ourselves. I think it was by ourselves.
Oh, you did?
At night. Yeah, he took me to it.
That's exactly who I rode it with, by myself. So that's really weird. So we know he's been on it twice.
Yeah. What up, Jay?
Well, it went right to our hotel, didn't it?
No, it goes around the park.
Yeah, but it does drop you off at the Disneyland, the resorts, too.
Oh, probably.
Okay, so here we go. This guy, he was 19 years old. His name was Thomas Cleveland. He was trying to sneak into Disneyland by climbing up the outer fence of Disneyland and getting onto the monorail.
Mm-hmm.
And the monorail came around the corner and killed him.
Oh, God.
These days, it's said that a spectral figure can sometimes be spotted prowling around the monorail track. He only appears at night, and he vanishes whenever a tram comes.
Doesn't that thing run all night even when the park is closed?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know.
Well, it just seems weird that he would, I mean...
I don't think it does.
Trying to break the logic down of why you need to break into Disneyland at night when it's open.
No, he wasn't.
Open until midnight.
He wasn't. He didn't break in at night.
He was climbing the fence to get into Disneyland. That's breaking in.
No, I don't need breaking in. Mansplained. I said I don't. He wasn't climbing in at night. He can be seen at night now.
No, when he died, he was climbing the fence.
Yes.
So he was breaking in at
night. Okay, I didn't say he was breaking in at night, though.
Why else would you climb the fence?
Because it goes around the back of the park. You know, the park wasn't always shaped the way it is.
You're breaking into the park.
Okay.
If you're not legally
Are we having a communication issue here? Yes, I did. Yes.
If we're not legally paying to walk into the park, and you enter it illegally, that's breaking in.
Okay, I didn't say he wasn't breaking in. I said he was. He was sneaking into Disneyland. Saying. But you said he was sneaking in at night, and I said he wasn't sneaking in at night. It doesn't say at night.
It doesn't?
No, it says now his figure is spotted only at night. Like nobody sees his ghost during the day.
Hold on. 19-year-old boy tried to sneak into Disneyland for a grad night celebration.
Oh, see, mine doesn't say that. Mine doesn't say night.
A security guard saw him and tried to warn him to get down, as this was a very dangerous place to be. He didn't listen. He just tried to run away. He should have listened, because just then he was hit by a monorail train and was dragged 30 to 40 feet before the train stopped.
Oh, see, mine doesn't say at night. Mine just says that he was sneaking in and walking on the track, and then the tram came around.
Well, there you go. So he was breaking in at night, trying to get mono.
My God. Jeez. Are you spicy or what?
Oh my
God.
I could be fighting my snake, I say.
I thought you were about ready to start fighting your snake.
Stop it. Stop it. Sorry, Rob, if you're listening.
Oh my God. Anyway. Well, I thought you were having a Rob moment of, I thought you were raging at something. Like, okay, broken at night. Okay, if you want it to be night, it's night. Stop that snake from banging its head. Anyway. Wow.
Stop it, Jerry. I'm doing a podcast.
I'm sorry, everyone. I was in an argument with my snake.
He must be a parcel tongue in the Harry Potter universe.
That would have been funny if he had just done that. If he had just done that.
If he had done that, he'd be like, sorry, everybody, I was talking to my snake.
I was fighting with my snake. That's what we need to do, because Rob's British.
Yeah. He's a parcel
We can make him somebody from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. Sorry. I got totally distracted. By the way, your dad says yes. We went there at night when your mom stayed in the room. Yeah. I had for everybody, I had the kids. I had the girls. Yeah. And
you know what's funny is JD took me on that ride. Oh, not the ride, it's the monorail. I've never been on it again because I can't find where the entrance is. And I'm sure on the map that I get every single time I go, it tells me where it's at. But I'm so stubborn that I just assume, oh, I can find it, and then I never find it, and then the day goes on.
Well, you can get on it on Disney Walk.
Yes,
there's a platform there.
On Disney Walk, but for some reason my brain keeps telling me go to Tomorrowland. Because I think that's where Jay and I got on it, is in Tomorrowland.
Oh, maybe yes. Oh, yes, you can get on it in Tomorrowland, and then JD and I got on it in the back of the park, over by past Toontown, over where they do the little stage things over there. We got on it somewhere over there once too, I think.
Oh, okay.
That the only time I ever got on it, but we got off in Tomorrowland.
Right.
Okay. Diabolical witness, because that is trespassing. Yes, people. Yes. Hey,
yeah, Mom. You need to quit having your Rob moment.
I know he was trespassing. I didn't dispute that.
You're raging on me, Mom. I'm just trying to give the facts.
Jesus. Diabolical witness says that he ran into Natalie Portman right there. I ran into the guy from Terminator 2, the kid.
Edward Furlong.
I ran into Edward Furlong in Tomorrowland, and also in on Main Street, and he is as nasty and grimy and dirty and smelly as you think he would be. So
I've never met a celebrity in Disneyland, but I've been a part of a ride where it got shut down for the celebrity.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I tried to go on Splash Mountain, and in the middle of the line, it just stopped because the Kardashians were there, or one of the Kardashians was there. So they got first helpings of the ride, and it delayed the ride by like 15 minutes or whatever.
Brother.
Yeah.
No, Brian, he didn't mug me, but I was afraid he might. And he was like chain smoking, and we were standing in line next to him. And I was like, that's the kid from Terminator 2. He's exactly like you think. He's like got greasy hair, was wearing a black leather jacket, smoking, unshaven. Somebody tell me how to stop my watch, please.
Take the watch off and throw it in the other room. Throw it in the room with the ghost. Maybe he can talk to Victor Lyons for you.
Well, no, Victor's not doing it anymore. Now I don't even know what it is. Sorry. Anyway, do you have another ghost you would like to tell us about? Now that you've yelled at me and...
I didn't yell at you. You were misinterpreting what I was telling you.
I can't. You're... no, I said he was breaking in.
Okay, so I win. So let's do a...
Okay, you win.
Let's do a... let's go to a small world. Unfortunately, I did not send this picture to Jeremy, so you guys will just have to use your imagination.
What'd you call him? You gays?
You gays.
That's what you said. He misspoke.
No, I said you guys. You gays.
That's what you said.
Are we hosting a special Rambo version of Exit Lights podcast?
Oh my God, it's weird. It's weird.
The story is that several cast members who worked on It's a Small World loved the ride so much that they came back to reside there after they died. The legend is that lights will turn on and off, and that the dolls will keep on dancing and singing after hours when the electricity has been turned off. It doesn't give any specific details on if there was a passing or not, which I'm sure if there was, they would have stated it.
Right.
You know, that could just be what they call I always get this name lost in translation. You know, they have the intelligent haunting, and then there's the repetitive haunting, where it just happens over and over again. It's not intelligent. It's, Brian, help me out here. Mom.
It's what happens when you come to visit.
What happens when I come to visit?
You're just not intelligent. You're just hanging there. Sorry.
Stop it! Stop it! It's a, man, I can't think of the word.
I don't know the word, but moving along.
Anyways, it's the kind of haunt that's not really technically a haunting. It's just the energy in the area that
residual.
Residual, thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
A residual haunting of just something that happened repeatedly over time and the energy's there.
Oh. I like It's a Small World.
I can one and done that ride.
Really?
I do ride it every time I go, but I'm good on just, unless it's hot outside, then I'll ride it.
Oh, God, yes. But, and when it's hot outside, you have to drag me out of it.
When it gets to the end and it's hot outside, I'm like, please, God, no, stop. Break the ride down. Break the ride down.
I know. That's when you want it to break down.
That's what you wanted to break down when it's nice and cold and it's 150,000 degrees outside.
Remember that year that we went and it was historically hot temperatures?
Yes.
Oh my God. The line for It's a Small World was like 100
Forever
miles long.
And
People were like, please, some cold.
I felt like a Thanksgiving turkey by the time I got on that ride. You could have probably stuck a thermometer in me, and I was good enough to pass around the dinner table.
I know, it was terrible. It was the only time that everybody in the park wanted to be, and It's a Small World. That was scary all alone right there. Okay, moving on. So, let's talk about this. I already told you about Roy Disney, right? About that video where you can see his picture. Did I tell you about that?
Before this podcast, I think you did.
Okay, so there's a website. That's the one I was asking Jeremy if I gave him the website. There's a website, and it's called, what was it called, Jeremy? We something straight. Yeah, it's from Wow So Amaze on YouTube. On that they have a CCTV video, and there's 4 of them connected, and you can see this figure of a man that you can see through. Do you have it up, Jeremy, where it says whatever the heck this is? Okay, so if you go on to Wow So Amaze on YouTube, you can watch the full video where he walks along this entire path that you guys can see right there. And the weird thing about that is that he was caught on all the security cameras around that area. So every camera picked up this figure like it was a solid figure, and he's just walking like a man. And in the picture that Jeremy has up, you can see in front of the light, you can see his head, and then this is his body, and you can see that it's not solid. So the video is really interesting. If you'd like to see that after this, go check it out, because it really is convincingly creepy. And it's said that it is Walt's brother, Roy, who is haunting that area. Now, I don't know if they think that Roy looks like this figure, looked like this figure, how they came up with the fact that they think it's Roy, but it's definitely a man, and it's definitely walking. So, a lot of the stuff is like lore and legend, but not the actual death, but the haunting that, comes after it. But this is really crazy.
I will add 2 notes to that. One, so Walt Disney Studios, where they film their movies, sits in front of a well-known cemetery in Hollywood. And I've told my mom about this YouTube channel. It's pretty neat. Obviously check it out after this, but it's called Hollywood Graveyard. And this guy goes to graveyards that house people who worked in the entertainment industry, from actors to singers to producers, directors, anyone who had anything to do with Hollywood in any way, shape, or form. He goes to their grave and he gives you background on them. Roy Disney's grave overlooks Walt Disney Studios.
That's neat.
I think that's pretty cool. And then
the cemetery is Forest Lawn.
Yes, Forest Lawn Cemetery. And then, as a side note attached to that, when you ask a Disney cast member, and when I say cast member, I say employee, but they don't refer to themselves as employees, they're referred to as cast members. So even the person that just sits out there and directs traffic, they're called a cast member. If you ask a cast member any question, they have to answer it honestly, and that includes, is Disneyland haunted? Oh. So you can freely walk up to anybody that works there and ask them, hey, is this particular place haunted, or is this place in general haunted? And they have to honestly answer you. They're not guided by corporate Disney to tell you, oh no, this isn't. If they've had a personal experience there, if they believe it's haunted, then they have permission to tell you their stories and tell you if it's real or not. So just throwing that out there. Next time you go to Disney and you feel like you got some cojones on you, feel free to ask cast members your paranormal questions, and they will answer them.
Have you ever asked?
I said if you have cojones. So no, I've never asked.
Why? You afraid Pluto's going to beat you up?
I just find it. You raised me in a way to where like asking certain questions like that feels weird and out of the blue, and I'm just not a very direct, walked up to strangers and ask them questions like that kind of a guy.
Right.
So I don't ask those questions because I also think that these people put up with a lot of crap on the daily anyways. So my crap is probably
that's not
the less amount of crap that they, and I'm sure they don't see it that way, and I'm not saying they do. I'm just saying I like to stay in my lane and stay out of people's way and not bugging anybody. So I don't go up to cast members and ask them, "Hey, is this place haunted? Tell me." I'm more of just I want to go ride that ride. I want to go ride that ride. I want to go eat this chimichanga. I want to go ride that ride kind of a guy.
Well, there's a lot of YouTube videos of former cast members who tell stories about weird things that have happened to them as far as guests go. And I think that yours would be low on the totem pole because there's some creepy men out there who like Minnie Mouse.
I imagine that on my scale of crap, I'm the least troublesome. But like I said, for me, I just don't walk up to random strangers and ask them questions like that at all. So
do you know that a Disney character, if a child this is not a dark side. Hold on a second. I'm gonna go to a warm and fuzzy side for a second. Hold on, I'll be back to dark.
Are we switching over to your new channel for this story?
I should. If a child hugs a Disney character, the Disney character is not allowed to let go until the child does. Because some children need more hugs than others. And so as long as that child is hugging you, you have to hug that child back. If it takes all day. Which is weird because I have a child, Josh, who will not stop hugging you until you stop hugging him first. So it could be all day. She could be like, I guess we're skipping meals now.
I've already thrown up in this suit twice. Can I get a break? No, I need your love.
You know, they can't point with one finger. They have to point with two.
Mm-hmm.
Because
we were just talking. We just had guests over. And so my wife and I I'm just going to say it. I'm not afraid. We're experts. We know how to Disney. And so that's what she was telling them. Like, okay, so just so you know, Disney cast members can't point. They have to use two fingers. And they're like airline attendants. They're like over here, and over here with two fingers. So I'm just like, I don't think they care to know that.
Well, I think it's interesting because in some cultures, pointing with one finger is considered rude. So, and they don't want people to think that they're pointing at them. So they have to do two fingers. And like you said, put their arms in the air and move it like an airline stewardess. They're not airline stewardesses anymore. What are they called?
Cast members. Oh, you mean like airline people themselves?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
I can't think.
We'll just call them cast members too.
They're cast members too.
For the purpose of the podcast, they're cast members too.
That's right. Okay, so here we go. This is a rough one. In 2000, a 4-year-old boy, his name is Brandon Zucker, was on the ride called Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin with his father, and somehow Brandon managed to fall out of the moving car. He was crushed underneath the cars behind him. The ride continued to move along without stopping. David's father got out of his car, rushed outside multiple times screaming for park employees to call 911, and they wouldn't. Because the rules for Disney was to never, ever, ever, never call 911, no matter how frantic a guest was telling you to call 911. They don't want it's supposed to be a blissful experience. So they want to take care of whatever they can take care of out of the public's eye. So the employee told him to calm down and wait for security to arrive. The boy ended up being paralyzed. And eventually he died when he was 13 years old. So they sued Disney because of Disney's inaction to call. No, realistically, 911 wasn't going to get there fast enough to stop this injury, obviously. But they did change the Disney policy so that they do call 911 now when they didn't used to, which is a good thing. You know, it's Disney. They should maybe have EMTs on the property.
Well, you know what's funny is when I originally would see the Disneyland Fire Department, I thought that was a legitimate fire station. Because the park is so huge, because it's not just Disneyland. Disneyland by itself is huge.
Yeah.
But it's also Disney Way, which is downtown Disney.
Yeah.
And California Adventure.
Yeah.
It's pretty much a city within a city.
Yeah.
And it already has its own police force. It has a Disneyland police. You might as well have
the Men in Black.
The Men in Black. You might as well have a legitimate fire station and a legitimate medical staff on standby at all times.
Yes. They have a jail. They have a jail in Disney. Supposedly, when they take people off rides, that's where they go. But
it's called hell, I think.
Have you ever met someone who was taken off a ride in Disneyland? I haven't.
I haven't. I've seen someone get taken off a ride in Disneyland.
Me too.
And they don't exist anymore.
Yeah. They're gone. So I think that they should, rather than change the policy to call 911. I mean, obviously they can, but they should have because they have a whole mass of underground tunnels, and you wouldn't even have to see them. Just have your own EMT division, and ambulances could leave right from underneath it if they had to.
Right.
In case Disney's asking, which I don't think they are, but they should be, because that seems obvious. So let's talk about the boy the 18-year-old who died in the water surrounding Tom Sawyer's Island. Shall we?
Let's shall.
So this 18-year-old boy, whose name is Bogdan Delarat, and his 10-year-old brother, they were at Disneyland. They decided to stay a little bit late. In fact, they stayed past closing time, and they wanted to go look at the burning settler's cabin on Tom Sawyer's Island, which I can say that I've never seen the burning settler's cabin. I've been on Tom Sawyer's Island. Where was I?
The cabin?
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Isn't that where they do the Phantasmic show every night? Is the cabin? Isn't it like right there on the water?
That's where that is the area they do the Phantasmic show, but I've never seen this cabin literally looks like it's on fire.
All the time?
Yeah, it's supposed okay, so here's some talk about dark history. It's supposed to be a settler's cabin, and the Indians have lit it on fire and taken them captive.
On Tom Sawyer's Island?
Yeah.
Wow, I don't remember that.
I know. I don't either, but that's why they stayed, was to watch this, and I saw pictures of it online. It's on fire. It's there. Not legit fire, but so they stayed, and they got bored, and they decided to leave, but there was no way off the island because you have to get there on the ferry thing. So they decided to swim. Bogdan told his brother, who was 10 years old, to get on his back, and he would swim across with him. except for that his brother weighed him down. And as anybody who's ever taken a swim lesson knows, or seen any kind of swim rescue, a person who's panicking will try and drown you to lift themselves out of the water. And he started to go down. His brother couldn't swim. He started panicking. Bogdan ended up drowning in the water in front of Tom Sawyer's Island, and cast members who were still there ended up, because people are there all night long, and they ended up pulling the 10-year-old out of the water, and he lived. But they say that at night you can still hear him in the water yelling for help.
Oof.
That would be scary. And okay, so while I'm talking about that, about Tom Sawyer's Island, I want to bring something else up about Tom Sawyer's Island. Disney World has an alligator problem. And as I think probably everybody knows, a couple years ago, there was a 2-year-old boy who was staying at a Disney World resort, and he was killed by an alligator. So there are pictures of the ferry that goes to Tom Sawyer's Island and the dock, and there are alligators there, and the cast members of Disney have a stick, and they're told to nonchalantly hit the alligators to push them down so that guests don't see them, because not many people are going to get into that boat to go over to Tom Sawyer's Island if they understand that there's alligators in that water. But so I'm going to read you about the alligator issue. There are so many alligators around the popular resort in Orlando that it could easily create its own gator farm. According to Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, more than 220 of the animals were removed from the location between May of 2006 and August of 2015. After that 10-year period, the number of captures and removals increased to more than 40 per year. Then the child was killed in June of 2016, and the amount of alligators they removed doubled to 83 per year. A few days after the boy, whose name was Lane Graves, was killed on the property of the Disneyland Resort, they got the alligator that killed him, and then they got 6 more alligators, and 4 of them were larger than 6 feet long. 2 days after the search, they finally recovered the child, and then they found 5 more alligators on the property. So as you're visiting Disney World, and if you're by water, keep that in mind. And the cast members are well aware of it, and like I said, there's an area when you're crossing, when you cross the bridge where everybody takes pictures and you're going into the castle. In Florida, that is infested with alligators. So the cast members will go over there, like the people you see cleaning up, the tiny shreds of garbage that's allowed to hit the ground. And what they're doing over there is keeping the alligators back. Let's stick to Disneyland.
I've never been to Disney World, so in my head, I always thought of it being kind of away from areas where alligators would be. But so I wonder, is there like a canal that attaches Disneyland World to another source of water? Like, where are these alligators coming from? Or are they
Well,
just, is Disneyland built on some, or World, I keep saying Disneyland. Is Disney World built on something where alligators already were?
oh no, it's built everywhere in Florida. Alligators already were.
So they're just
So
everywhere.
yeah, they're everywhere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, then they just wander onto the property, and you can get on videos on YouTube, and they have a lot of people have alligator videos on YouTube from being in Disney World. You can see them like walking across that huge monster one that walks across that golf course that everybody keeps going to for some reason.
Yeah.
It's got a damn dinosaur in there.
I think it was huge.
Yeah, you could strap a saddle on him.
Yeah.
So it's amazing to me that they only had one person. Well, people have been bitten. They have there. I looked up the pictures. There are pictures of alligators in the bathrooms at Disney World. It's amazing that there haven't been more deaths. And they do have a sign up, and I gave the sign to Jeremy. It says not to go into the water because there's alligators and snakes. And what this family was doing was the very, very tippy top where the water meets the sand.
Uh-huh.
They were walking through there, kind of splashy, and the alligator came out, got the boy, and I won't go into the details because it's gory, but that is something that should be like monitored on the daily, like half daily. They should be monitoring movement in there. Like, can we not put cameras so we can sense movement? And then have somebody go out dressed as Daffy Duck on a boat into the lake and like get it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's serious. So if you're staying in one of those resorts that have those white sand beaches that are on the property and there's water, there's alligators. They aren't your friend. People feed them, and that's another thing they were saying was that people feed them so they stick around.
Right.
Why should you go anywhere else? Who is dumb enough? You're in Disney World. You're like, oh, hey, I just spent $20 on a turkey leg. I'm going to share it with an alligator and not even like, I would freak out.
Yeah, that's not on the top of my list of things to do in anything Disney.
No, so I'm going to stick to Disneyland, I think.
Yeah.
No alligators.
No thanks.
So do you want to tell another story, my friend?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So this will just be, we'll talk about shops throughout the park. Many of the stores are supposedly haunted as well. The fourth floor stockroom of the Star Trader at the exit of Star Tours in Tomorrowland supposedly has cold spots and a really creepy feeling to it. I've never actually been in that building. I should check that out.
I have been.
Have you felt cold spots or a really creepy feeling?
Yeah, Edward Furlong was in there.
Well, that explains a whole lot.
Yeah.
There are also stories of the merchandise being rearranged on the shelves after the shop is locked up for the night when nobody's around. The Hatmosphere, the hat booth between America Sings and the Tomorrowland Autotopia, is haunted. Supposedly, the sewing machine they use to embroider names on hats never gets warm, even after being used all day long. And once someone saw a face on it.
On the sewing machine?
Yeah.
Oh.
One of the ice cream carts is also supposedly haunted. People have reported hearing a woman's voice, even though there is no woman around. On Main Street, there have been sightings of a lady in white. She appears in and around the stores on Main Street and is dressed in clothing from the turn of the 20th century. Legend says that she died on the property in the early 1900s, but never moved on. And as a side note on her, her ghost is also reportedly the one that helps lost children find their way to the front of the park security so that they can be reunited with their parents.
No.
So,
What's that ride? What's that ride back across from the treehouse? It's a roller coaster.
the treehouse.
Yeah, that over that direction.
That's in Adventureland. So the closest one to it is Indiana Jones.
No, it's like a gold mining one.
Oh, that's on. That's Big Thunder Canyon.
Yeah, there's been a lot of people that died on that one.
Yeah, I know for sure that there was a gentleman who had a heart attack on that ride, an elderly gentleman.
Yeah, and there was a guy
That's
who was
public
decapitated
knowledge.
on that ride.
Yeah.
And there was a guy, apparently the Disneyland staff members heard one of the carts squeaking, and they let it go anyway, and the wheels fell off, and there was a 18-year-old in the front. What's it with the 18-year-olds? He was in the front of the cart, and he fell out and he died, and then the people in the cart behind him, their cart fell off and tumbled down to the ground.
Oof.
And yeah, but I don't go on that ride. I don't know if you've noticed. I don't go on that ride because of how many people have died on that. I just know that my luck is, if I'm going to get stuck haunting a ride, I don't want it to be that one.
The last time I rode that ride, my wife is a roller coaster nut, and I am okay on roller coasters, but for the most part, I'm kind of a wimp. She tried to throw my hands up as the first part of the roller coaster was climbing the tracks, and when she grabbed my hand and threw my arm up, it hit my glasses on my face.
No.
And my quick reflexes kept them from flying over. But had they flown over, I would have been blind for the next 3 days in Disneyland.
And she would have been haunting Big Thunder Mountain.
Yes, she would. She would.
Josh and JD love that ride.
I like it.
They went in it because there was no line during the fireworks. Mm-hmm. They just went in that one.
Yep.
I don't go on it. Lots of people die on there. No, thank you. Okay. So, what's next for me? So, here's something interesting about Walt Disney that isn't very well known. So, Walt Disney was extra conservative, which I don't think is a shock to anybody. You know, like right down to the fact that he didn't allow facial hair. You know, as you can see, the rules for cast members are so strict that he wanted to make absolutely sure that people were going to have a good time, and there wasn't going to be anything that wasn't children friendly. Although they almost put a bra shop on Main Street. I don't know how that happened. Anyway, the Disney cast members went on strike in 1947. No, I'm sorry. They launched the strike in 1941. And so what he started to do to these people was turn them into the government. We had a House, this is what it's called, the House Un-American Activities Committee. Remember when everybody was like, oh, you're a communist, and people were getting blackballed in Hollywood and stuff? Well, that was a big thing for Disney because he would turn his employees in and that had gone on strike and just say they were communists. So they would be put on the list of U.S. citizens that were un-American, and he would tell them that they were disloyal. And he did it to one of his animators, whose name was David Hilberman. And these are the reasons, according to the papers that were eventually released. These are the reasons that Walt Disney gave. 1, he had no religion. 2, he had spent considerable time at the Moscow Art Theater studying direction or something. And that was a quote, or something. So therefore, he is a communist. And people were seriously getting in trouble for this stuff. You know, actors were blackballed. Blacklisted, not blackballed. Blacklisted. Because when they were being accused of being communists. And Shady Walt was over here getting people in trouble because they had gone on strike, and he was upset about it. Because he had no religion. Can you imagine that there was the House Un-American Activities Committee? Is that hard to imagine that happened in the United States?
Considering what we're going through now, it doesn't surprise me that it isn't happening even now. Anyways.
Moving right along.
No, Mom. I can't believe that ever
Stop
happened.
it. Stop it.
Sorry, Tracy. I was fighting my snake.
Okay. Do you have something else you want to talk about?
Yes.
Okay.
We will leave the politics behind.
Yeah.
Let me see what I got here. Okay, so back to Haunted Mansion.
Okay.
There are several ghosts that haunt the Haunted Mansion. The first ghost story happened when the mansion was being built back in the 1960s. One of the sound designers was in the seance room and heard music coming from behind a wall. He thought it was a radio, but there was never any talking or commercials, just music. He kept hearing the music for days. Finally, he decided to just put a speaker near the spot the music was coming from to mask it. Good old American
Ingenuity.
Ingenuity. I can't figure this out, so let's just put something even louder there.
Or duct tape.
It is rumored that the spell book in the Seance Circle is a real spell book, and that Madame Leota was reciting a spell from that book. Rumor had it that each morning when cast members would arrive at the attraction to open the ride, they would find the book in a different place than it was the previous night.
Interesting.
Very, very interesting.
You know, if people, I'm going to go back to, spreading ashes. If you're going to spread ashes in the Haunted Mansion, don't you think it'd be best to do it like down where the ghosts are on the table? In that ballroom thing? Don't you think it'd be... Do they vacuum down there? Probably, I guess so.
You can't, because that rail has a glass wall in front of it.
Oh, yeah. All right, I'm trying to help you guys out. Well, Pirates of the Caribbean is the only other option, and it better be just a little bit of ashes. I didn't say this. I'm not telling you to do this, by the way. I wouldn't do that.
I would say, there's a weird line of respect where you want to respect the dead's wishes, but you also kind of have to respect the wishes of the property owners.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't get permission on property to dispose of a loved one's ashes, at least find something that's close to Disney, and the wind will pick it up from there.
Yeah, Disney will not give you permission. I looked.
Yeah, they're very adamant, like, you cannot do this, which is fine. It's their property, and it's kind of morbid in a way. So if you have a family member who wants to have their ashes spread at Disneyland, it doesn't necessarily have to be in the park. You can always do it next to, in front of, nearby, and, the wind will do its thing.
I have an idea. Why don't you go to Disney World and feed it to the alligators?
There you go.
There you go.
Here, you hungry, you big fat alligator? Here's some ashes for you.
There you go.
Or how
Maybe.
about you put the ashes in a necklace that you can carry into the park, and then therefore their ashes are in the park. Aha! Loophole.
There you go. Loophole.
Gosh, I'm
Just take
good.
a thimble size and just like, oh, I just dropped this in the grass.
Oh, I need to put my lipstick on. Oh, look at that! A little bit of dirt came out of my lipstick. Oh,
Oh man.
oh,
Gosh dang
darn,
it.
darn
Hate it.
Oh, oh well.
So sorry.
You want to vacuum that up too?
I think they do. They do. Look at that. The park is immaculate. I have to say that the park is immaculate. I really enjoy that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
They do a very good job.
Here's a hint for you people who go to Disney a lot. Here you go. You ready? The children's and the adults' water fountains. The adults' water fountains have warm water and they barely come out of the spout. The children's have cold water and they come out farther out of the spout because they figure the kids can't reach it. They make the adults warm so the adults will go buy the $5 water bottle, which you can drink from the children's and have good cold water out of that. Also, any sit down restaurant has to give you a cup for water if you ask for one, which you can carry around all day and fill up at any sit down restaurant. So there you go. Just in case you want to go during the summer. My first top 100 rules of Disney is never go during the summer.
Nope.
But if you want to, that's how you get cold water. You guys are learning a lot of stuff today. Just taking notes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. There are 2 special secret shades of paint at Disney. I know. Scary.
Oh my God, I'm already scared.
I know. So if you're walking, and I gotta tell you, this is really funny because it actually works. If you're walking through Disneyland, and by the way, they pump smells into Disneyland. So when you smell freshly baked cookies, there might not be any cookies baking.
I don't care. It smells glorious.
Pirates of the Caribbean is supposed to smell like seawater, but it smells more like dank river. Yes. Seawater is not what I would say it smells like. So they have. You will not notice, your eye will not be drawn to anything that is painted gray or green. The company has specific dull paint colors that are called Go Away Green and No See 'Em Gray. And the bright colors are drawn away from these colors so you don't see them. They have even painted the door of the famous Club 33 with the No See 'Em Gray and the Go Away Green, which works because I can't ever find the door.
Well, you know what's funny is it does blend into the scenery, except for the giant diamond-eyed sign that says 33
next to it.
Door frame.
Oh yeah, on the door frame, yeah. Yeah, I only know that because I saw a picture of it. But otherwise, I've walked by that door a million times. Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen it. They're right. It is a No See 'Em Gray.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty smart.
Definitely blended into the scenery. If you don't know what you're looking for, you're going to walk right past it.
Yeah, that's pretty smart, don't you think? So.
Oh, yeah. It's genius.
Maybe those people who go into the abyss have been painted No See 'Em Gray. They're just there. They're there in the park. Maybe they put them in the yard of the Haunted Mansion and just put a fake headstone on them. That'd actually be a good idea.
Yeah. All right, let's do it.
Probably just gave somebody ideas.
I wonder if we can paint ourselves those colors and then we get lost to the employees of Disneyland when it closes at night. And then we just go have a free for all. And we look like ghosts anyways.
We don't have to pay to get in.
And we don't even have to pay to get in.
Yeah. Just don't look at me. I'm no CM Gray.
You can't even, your mind can't even see me. Go away.
I am not the person you are looking for.
These are not the fun-loving people who just want to live in Disneyland forever that you're looking for.
I bet Disneyland is scary at night.
I bet it is.
Yeah.
It's scary at night when there are people there.
It is though, don't you think?
Yeah.
When you're leaving there's not hardly any people left and you're leaving.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it even then.
Yeah.
That's when I like to go into the shops because the music's still playing and the lights are really bright and it doesn't feel scary.
I got separated at one point on one of my trips from my group, and I was walking through the area that connects Fantasyland to Frontierland, that back corner, which is now being designed to be Star Wars Land.
Yeah.
And there's this part on the left-hand side where it's like a foresty jungle area.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's actually a part of the train ride, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it is.
So it's just going to that part at night, and I was virtually by myself because no one was really using that walkway. Everybody was kind of already in New Orleans, so they didn't need to be in that area. Where it just got really creepy. Like there was just a creepy vibe coming from that forest area.
I don't like that area in the daytime.
Yeah, it's weird. It has like a different vibe than the whole rest of the park.
I agree.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I agree. I always felt like that too, because you can go up that way and around that way over to the theater, but I don't like it.
Yeah,
it's not my jam.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay, so let's talk about brain eating amoebas, shall we?
Oh no.
Oh yes. In 1980, the Associated Press released a newspaper article that said this. Okay, there was a water park for Disney World. There is a water park for Disney World. And it said, a rare but deadly disease caused by an amoeba found in Florida's freshwater lakes has claimed its fourth victim, a New York youngster who spent his vacation swimming at Walt Disney World's River Country. The disease, amoebic meningoencephalitis, attacks the nervous system and brain. It killed 2 Florida children earlier this month, too. The 11-year-old boy who died, the doctor said that the amoeba had entered through his nose, went into his nasal passage, and attacked his brain and nervous system, eating it. So there's just no good reason to go to Florida to go to Disney World. This is not on the brochures. No, I've never seen anything about alligators or brain-eating amoebas on the brochure, and I think I don't want to go.
Is it weird that as much as I love Disney, I've never had a desire to go to Disney World?
Me either. I've been to Disney World when I was little, and we lived in Florida for about 35 minutes.
Yeah.
And I didn't find it enjoyable.
I don't like Disneyland. By it is big, but it's kind of a comfortable big.
Right.
And Disney World is way bigger.
It feels overwhelming.
It's in Florida. It just feels like it'd be too stressful.
Yeah. When can you go when it's not hot?
Never.
Yeah. See, I like to go to Disneyland in January.
Yeah. Well,
and I like it I like it when it rains, because the more people running out, the more better for people going in.
Kendra and I went at the end of April in off season, and it was still cold outside, and there was nobody there. It was one of the best experiences I ever had.
Yeah. The first time I took you, we went in April, and I thought I was going to be flooded with like spring break kids, but it wasn't. And when we went, we also went on Thanksgiving Day once.
Yeah.
But it was decorated like Christmas, so we kind of accidentally skipped Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
That's when Kendra went with us.
Yep.
Yeah, we went straight from Halloween to Christmas, without even there wasn't even a speed bump for Thanksgiving.
And a year later, we went again with her family for Thanksgiving. So there was 2 Thanksgivings that just kind of didn't exist in my world.
There's the dark side, not having any Thanksgiving. Do you have any more stories, Jory? I'm out of stories.
Well, I came prepared.
Good job. Your door is really scary sounding.
Yeah, and I just had a tiny white ghost named Lucy come in here.
Oh.
Why's your whooshy? Okay.
Oh, Diabolical Witness says, no, see him green kid in the Haunted Mansion. Yeah. That's why he's green. Doesn't work, though.
Supposedly, on the Pirates of the Caribbean, there is a boy ghost who is seen in the video monitors also. He can be seen in the control tower, caught on surveillance cameras. He always seems to be happy and enjoying himself, but when the boat comes back to the station, the boat is empty. It has also been said that Walt Disney's ghost and a couple of other ghosts sometimes haunt the Disney gallery above the Pirates. The gallery was originally designed to be Walt's personal apartment, as the one above Main Street's fire station was kind of small. And I got to say this. I have 2 goals in my life if I ever make really good money. The first goal is to get into Club 33.
You know, it's actually not, I can't believe I'm going to say this, not that expensive. It's $12,000 to be a member.
Well, you got to pay an extra something $1,000 just to get on the waiting list.
But the waiting list is 15 years.
Yeah.
But I mean, $12,000 is obviously a lot of money. But if I was a Kardashian, well, no, I would not do that. If I was a minor celebrity and I could just spend $12,000 on something, hell yeah.
Yeah. So goal number 1, get into Club 33.
Yes.
Goal number 2, stay at the gallery above Pirates of the Caribbean. Because I see it every time I go, and all I can think of is, man, I would love to stay up there. Because you can stay in the park.
What?
It's the only. You can stay there. You can pay to stay in the gallery. They call it a magical night experience or something like that, and it's a room set up in Disneyland where you can stay in it overnight. Yes.
Wow.
And if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but I do believe you have access to certain parts of the park overnight while this park is closed.
Oh, well, you can stay in the tower. They have the princess room in the tower.
Yeah, you can stay there too, but you can also stay at the gallery above the Pirates.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's been like that for a while. I think it started off as like a contest, and they just kept it. Like every time I go, I see the ropes blocking the stairway, and you can only go up that stairway if you are renting that room for the night or however long.
Oh, how much does that cost?
It's a pretty penny. I don't think it's as expensive as Club 33, but it's pretty up there.
Really?
I'll have to look it up.
Do look it up.
Okay.
A paralyzed man was stuck in It's a Small World once for 30 minutes. He was a paraplegic. They paid him $8,000 for listening to that song over and over again. We should have gotten $8,000 for spending 45 minutes with bombs and Darcy blows and the smoke.
Right.
I don't. Man, we missed our opportunity.
Oh my gosh.
We missed it. Whatever. I would like to stay in the princess room.
Yeah, that would be fun. It's actually closed off to people during the day. Like you can't even walk. You can't even walk past it.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Have you ever seen anybody coming out of there?
No, never.
Do you know that there's a rumor that the seven dwarfs are named after the seven stages of cocaine addiction?
I heard about that rumor. Yeah.
Grumpy, bashful, sneezy, dopey, happy. Is that what it's happy? The seventh stage? I don't think so. I think rehab's seventh stage.
So it looks like um, that it's actually kind of like an art gallery. You can go up
Oh,
there and look
really?
at art. Yeah.
Really?
Hmm. But I'm fairly sure you can also stay the night up there too.
I uh, I wish I had known this. I want to know how much it costs.
I just went to the wiki thing. It didn't say costs. It just said that. Well, it says that it used to be the gallery, and then it moved to Main Street. So I'm not sure what's up there now. But I do know that that is a room up there that you can stay in overnight.
Well, why don't you tell everybody why most Disney characters don't have a mom?
Uh, so when Walt moved to California, he bought a house for his parents out there, and uh, they unfortunately passed away when the house leaked carbon monoxide.
He built it on the property.
No, I think he just bought the house for them to live in while he was there building Disneyland.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it was actually on property. But yeah, they passed away from carbon monoxide poisoning, and it devastated Walt. And so that's why you see in the early films uh, Disney characters either losing their moms or not having moms because Walt didn't have his mom anymore either. So it was a reflection of his heartbreak from losing his mom. Like Bambi's mom being shot was a reflection of Walt Disney losing his mom. You know, the Lost Boys not having parents was a reflection. Well, obviously Peter Pan, it was a story written outside of um, outside of Disney, but it was still a reflection of how Walt felt.
Well, they either have no mother or a evil stepmother.
Right.
Very, very few Disney characters have moms.
Yep.
That's really weird. That he was a strange guy, wasn't he?
Yeah, he. I don't know if it's true or not, but he was also seen as anti-Semitic. Um,
Oh, was he?
so
Was he?
yeah. There, especially if you watch the cartoon series Family Guy, they make fun of it a lot about how he was anti-Semitic.
They do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
Oh.
one of the big legends of old Hollywood was that he was obviously he was punishing people for disobeying him by sending them to the anti-communism community, but he supposedly, I don't know, I've never really looked into it. It's just something that I've always heard was that he was also anti-Semitic.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, there's that old Donald Duck cartoon where Donald's fighting the Nazis. But
Yeah.
first he dreams he is a Nazi soldier or something. They
Something
come to
like
his
that.
door and they make him be a Nazi soldier, and then he ends up fighting against them. It's the weirdest thing. If you guys haven't seen it, go look up the Donald Duck and Nazi. Although I don't know if I'd put Nazi
I
in a
don't
search engine
know.
right now.
I don't know if you can you find it anywhere. I've heard it was one of the ones that Disney's been trying to get rid of.
I've seen it.
Oh, okay. I've seen it too.
So
I just
I don't know
didn't
if you
know
can
if it
still find
still
it or
was
not.
around.
I mean, I can totally see why they try to get rid of it.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre. But I have seen it, so you might be able to find it if you go Google Donald Duck and Nazis or something like that. J.M. Barrie wrote Peter Pan.
Right.
Peter Pan is my all-time favorite Disney movie, I would say. I love Tinkerbell. Love Tinkerbell. I don't know why. Since I was little, like we used to they used to play Peter Pan every year at Christmas time, but
Mm-hmm.
like a really old play version that had
Yeah.
Mary somebody in there, and she was a
Playing Peter
woman,
Pan.
but she played Peter Pan. Yeah, it was like black and
Yeah.
white version.
Yeah, it's the stage tradition that a woman always plays Peter Pan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, every stage production, not movie, but stage production of Peter Pan is always played by a woman. It's just how it's always been.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's weird.
Josh and I went and watched the stage version of Peter Pan a couple of years ago. I can't
Then you
remember
probably
who.
saw a girl playing Peter Pan.
Yeah, I guess I probably did.
Yeah.
So, you have anything else you want to tell us about Disney?
I think I am burnt out on stories. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, there's so much. There was so much out there about, especially deaths. There, you don't realize it, but a lot of people die at Disney. I mean, even just from heart attacks, but not. But besides that, some seriously violent things, which is to be expected when you have so many moving parts, literally moving parts, that people are going to get hurt. And then people, to add on to that, people are stupid and try and jump from boat to boat or car to car or take off their seatbelts and stand up. And so, natural selection works out right there. And the Darwin theory. And it's really, when you're in there, you don't think that, right?
Yeah.
And I've never walked in there and was in the Haunted Mansion and thought, the smell of burnt flesh in the morning. I love it.
You've never thought that?
No, not yet. I will now, though.
It's like a fresh cup of coffee in the morning for me.
No, when I'm on the ride, I'm gonna be looking on the floor and be like, was that it? Was that the ashes? Hey, George, go get out there. Get out and go get some of that. Was that an ash?
Oh, hold on. I'm trying to get out. Oh, I just tripped and broke my neck. Now I'm haunting the ride.
I'll be seeing two figures in black, like reach out, pull you into the wall.
Before I can break my neck and die, they pull me into the wall.
Yeah, you guys, you think there's walls there, but there's not.
You get a letter from me like 15 years later.
You've been in Disney boot camp.
Yeah, I'm in Disney concentration camp.
Oh, I said boot camp.
I have to run the wheel that brings electricity into Disneyland. And I mean run like a hamster.
You're on a big human hamster wheel.
I'm a human hamster wheel.
You're in charge of making It's a Small World play.
I haven't had a break in 15 years. They let me off long enough to let you know that I'm alive and I'm doing fine. Oh, there's Master Williams telling me I got to get back on the wheel. I miss you guys. And remember, when you're in a room that's well lit, that's me running the wheel. Love, Jory.
You know, this has nothing to do with dark, but I heard that their turkey legs are actually ham.
Yeah, I've
No,
always wondered that because I've watched people eat the turkey legs and they look like ham.
yeah, I've never. So every time I've seen anybody eat a turkey leg, the meat looks like purpley, like ham, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always thought that can't be good. I've never seen a turkey look like that, but it's actually ham.
Hmm.
So,
Well, that makes sense.
but it's also not fair that they don't make that known because some religions can't eat ham, and they think they're eating a turkey leg. First off,
Well,
stop and think for a minute. Have you ever seen a turkey with a leg the size of your forearm? You have not.
well, you're right.
And God forbid we ever do. All right, Jory. Is there anybody who wants to have a comment? Does anybody want to comment? It says, "Oh, that is not true." Diabolical witness. That is not true. Tastes like ham, but has the tendons of a turkey leg. I am telling you, Brian, I read that it was ham somewhere. But I'll take your word for it. There's a
Witnesses.
diabolical witness. Yeah, I'll take your word for it. Diabolical witnesses. Is that what I said?
No, I'm making fun of you for you all like continuously doing that.
I know. I was
Diabolical
like,
witnesses.
Yeah, his conspiracy. Yes, I believe so, Brian. We should look into it. Now tell me, Brian, how big do you think that turkey is? That leg is as big as my forearm. Long. Where are these turkeys? What are they feeding them? 60-pound turkeys? Yeah. That's like, birds are related to dinosaurs, so Disney's making these 60-pound turkeys. Where's the rest of them?
Right.
They grind it up, they feed it to the alligators in Disney World. Keep them full.
Nasty.
All right. I guess we're done with the dark side of Disney. There's so many more deaths. If you guys want to look up all the deaths, there's a lot of deaths. But I wanted you to focus on the ones that were like, why are you so noisy?
Sorry, I yawned.
I wanted to focus on the ones that were connected to hauntings, not just deaths. Because you guys should go look up that man walking after this on that sidewalk. That is crazy. So next week we're going to be talking about things like Freddy Krueger and Mike. What's his name? Is it Michael Myers? Michael Myers, not Mike Myers, because he's a whole different guy.
Still scary though.
Yeah, kind of scary. Get in my belly.
Okay.
So we're going to be talking about those kind of killers from scary movies, and even some that were in scary movies but were real life killers, like for instance the Texas Chainsaw Massacre guy, who was based on Ed Gein. Ed Gein was, well, I'll save that for you for next week because there's a little special connection to where I live in Ed Gein. I'll save it for next week. We're going to talk about that. A few days after that, we're going to have a guest hostess, and we're going to talk about lesser known serial killers. And I find the subject fascinating as far as the mentality that it takes. And so we're going to talk about them. My dog apparently wants to talk too. Yeah. That's Maggie. She
Watch
wanted to
going
say
off
something.
all night.
I know.
Dog barking in the background.
Sorry, she wanted to say, "Hey, I want to talk about serial killers." And then every day, 31 days of some sort of content going up, and that's gonna be fun. I've been working on this already, so I know.
Can I just say that
some
a
stuff.
bunch of YouTubers are jumping on the bandwagon?
Are they?
Yeah, I've seen several videos and posts from other YouTubers who have the exact same idea of trying to do 31 videos for October.
Assholes.
Yeah, I was like, oh wow, how original.
Whatever. Don't go to theirs. Go to mine.
I'm gonna be a part of yours.
Yes, you are. Oh, and then Jory and I are going to do our special podcast. I think that is what was it, October 26th or something?
Yeah, it's near the end of October. We'll be doing a drunk history of how.
No, you can't say that. They're going to catch me in their nets.
Oh, we're gonna be doing a inebriated special on Halloween.
We're going to be doing a Halloween special with spirits, the liquid kind.
The liquid spirits.
Yeah, which Rob's going to join us, but he's going to be our designated. I don't even know what. What's he going to do? Make sure we don't talk about necrophilia. Hey, by the way, that's one of the shirts I have in that I'm going to be selling. It doesn't say it on there, so don't worry. You're not going to jail or anything. Okay, so I guess if that is it, Jory, I will say this. If you are listening to this on my channel and you are not subscribed, please subscribe and click that like button. That is how we are suggested to people who are searching on YouTube. If you would like to support this channel, please do so. Consider doing so through Patreon. That would be very nice. All the proceeds will go towards merchandise so that we can do giveaways and have them for top tier Patreon members like you, Victor, like you. And that'll be fun. I'm excited about that. So I have a group on Facebook. So does Rob. If Maya wants to put those up. And is that about it? Jory?
I think so.
All right.
Oh,
well,
and we'll be ghost hunting next week.
Oh,
stay tuned.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Brian, since you're on, what do you think about you guys checking in next week during the podcast? And like you could just go into the chat if you want to, and if you're able to, if you're still alive and all that. All right, he says, of course. That would be fun because we can keep like updated on what they're finding. So that'll be fun. And then after they do that and everybody's home and all that's done, I'm going to interview Brian about his experience, and then he'll be putting the video up on his channel. So I will link you guys to go watch the video on his channel, and he's going to tell me all about it, and Jory is too. So that will be a lot of fun. I'm excited about that. That's one of my favorite things coming up this month. Oh, well, you don't have to. You don't have to put it up on mine. I mean, if you wanted to, that would be okay.
I'll probably dust the old camera off and try and do some kind of filming as well. Maybe,
good.
use it for your channel. We'll see.
Okay. All right. That'd be fun. All right. So, if that is all, I would like to thank producer Jeremy. Thank you, Jeremy, for producing. Moderator Maya, thank you for being my moderator. You did a good job. Jory, thank you for screaming at me about what it means to trespass. I enjoyed
Yeah. Stop it.
it.
Stop it.
Sorry, Tracy. I was in an argument with my snake.
Yes. Yes.
Rob's going to listen to this. He's going to be so mad. All right, you guys. I will see you next Friday with Rob, and we'll have a bunch of content coming up, so look forward to it. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.